Okay, all right. So the first 5 minutes, just a reminder of why we do this. And why do we do this? I know you've heard me say this a ton of times, which is to save the world through fitness by growing strong and staying strong. And for all of you that are on the .fit champion page, I think probably most of you are. You're the ones that come to the webcast. It's just this kudos to all of you, and then taking this responsibility of really spreading fitness properly to get people to live longer, better lives. That's what growing strong is. All right. So first 5 minutes. What does saving the world look like? And this is for all of you to download. You can always have this. This is my answer every time I'm interviewed on TV, radio, or anytime. People always say, well, how do you plan on saving the world through fitness? Sometimes they go, how's that possible? Well, I mean, to me, it's a simple equation. Bottom line is most people break down early. As you know, our health span is not even close to being as long as our lifespan, and certainly our play span isn't. And that's majority of that is because of lack of activity and unavoidable nutrient shortages, because it deprives us of the structural potential. If we put in, weak bricks throughout life to build the brick and mortar, then it's going to be a weak structure and it's going to break down early, leads to a weaker body and mind throughout life. Thus, early onset of disease and aging. We believe being fit makes you better in every phase of life and aspect of life as well, which in turn will make the world a better place for everyone. And it needs to be personalized to fit you, or you won't do it. And that's where all of you come in. This is a completely rhetorical statement. I obviously can't do any of this without you. So that's what's passing on. So we believe we can get people to grow strong and stay strong. That's what saving the world looks like. I've never known anybody that was weak, overweight, out of shape, that got in better shape and became strong, that didn't become a better person. That's how you save the world. Okay. All right. So, and again, what does that actually mean altogether? Well, you have to change the paradigm, the way people think. At the end of the day, it's nutrition. We have to understand that. That's why we do these things. It's nutrition that creates health, not medicine. We have a whole backwards system here. We wait till we break down, then we will go to a doctor. That doesn't make any sense. We got to make it so we don't break down. That's what the idea is. Thus, remember, health is the domain of nutrition. And of course, activity, because activity opens the body up to take more nutrition to build a stronger structure that will last longer. Pretty simple equation. All right. So again, health is the domain of nutrition, not medicine. And self-health care is absolutely the future. As you know, we're completely damaged. Our whole society is damaged with healthcare problems right now. And now it's spun out of control financially. But so people want to be able to take care of themselves. And our job is to give them those tools to do that. So lifestyle is medicine. That's what we're handing off. Okay. And so people can keep doing the things they love. Because I would easily argue people would much rather go to the gym than the hospital. And they'd much rather take a simple dietary supplement to fill unavoidable gaps rather than take a drug that generally has another side effect to keep them alive. Easily argue that. And that's what we're about. So fitness is healthcare versus the current model we're in is disease care. That's how we'll save the world. And that's the mentality that we have to change as fitness professionals. And you can't do it without nutrition. You can't do this just selling exercise. That's the point. So we have the power to be able to do that. And I always like to do it like this: healthcare or disease care. You can work with my staff now, and that's all of you, or you can work with their staff later. How do you want to start your day as you age? You want to start your day putting your tennis shoes on, going for a walk, or do you want to just hop out of your hospital bed? On your bike and ride, or have someone push you in a chair? And how do you want to end your day? Celebrating with your family or being stuck in a hospital? And that's our world today. The one on the right is our world today. We can make it the one on the left. So that's the whole idea. And you guys have already seen this. I just put this in here so you can download it and have it yourself. It really describes how sports nutrition is considered the new healthy aging. All your top nutrition researchers understand that, because every day of life is recovery from the last. What do we tell athletes? Your next workout is only as good as your recovery from the last. It's the same in life, whether you work out or not. Every day, your body replaces trillions of its cells. Every day, your whole life, from the time you're born to the time you die, your body is replacing cells. When you get older, it just doesn't do a good job because you're missing a whole bunch of parts to put it together. All cells replace themselves continually. And as we age, we do a bad job of it, which is why we have, we get older and our muscles get weak and we shrink, because again, we're not supposed to be here. But if we can give our body all those things to keep it, to give it all the material, we can stave off the inevitable. Certainly it's going to come. No one dies at 100 years old looking like Mr. Universe. Okay, but I tell you what, we can stave off all that for a long, long time. And that's what this is about. Lifespan, health span, play span. Your play span, in other words, being able to do things you love, should equal your lifespan. So you guys have this, you've already seen this, and all this. These are the current stats today, right there. And these are all driven by real algorithms. So this is a fact. If we just fill a few gaps, look how much we can get closer our play span to our lifespan. The bottom one is the real deal today. That's the way it is in the United States. If we just fill a few gaps, so 50% of our needs, rather than the 35% that people now do. We go to 60%, we go to 75, we go to 85, we go here. I mean, crazy. It's amazing. This is just filling gaps to make sure your body has everything it can use, possibly, to keep the structure stronger. And of course, you guys know that. So this is the minimum. Before I get to this antioxidant, this is the minimum. If you want, again, it's all recognizing that every day of life is a recovery from the last, no matter what you do, exercise or not. So the minimum, no matter what, this is a starting place for everybody you know, everyone you can come in contact with. Multivitamin, mineral, womb to tomb, from the prenatal to the time you die. And a multivitamin mineral means it's not a multivitamin, it's a multivitamin with minerals. All the things that the 9, especially the 9 that we're missing, here all Western diets are missing. All right, this fills those gaps. That's not negotiable. This is negotiable, as you know, calcium. If you can get it from your diet, I always say diet first. But 1,000 to 1,200 mg a day you need if you're going to maintain bone health, which is the #1 thing that breaks down if you live long enough, muscle and bone, as you know. And then, of course, the new one, World Health recommendation right now is that everyone should be getting somewhere between 500 and 600 milligrams of EPA and DHA, the omega-3s, if we want a lot of different parts of our bodies to be able to continue to replace themselves properly, which is why we see our Northern European counterparts live much longer and much better than us, and we attribute it to this number here. And all it takes is a simple little 1 gram a day to get there. And remember, I'm talking about the minimum here. We all do more than this, but I'm talking about the minimum that we need to be able to hit that top rung. And then protein is 1 gram per pound. And that's easy. So here's your minimum. All right. So let's go to the next level. What's next? So how do we now make each decade of life a little stronger and better? We know what it takes to kind of get to that top rung from a minimum, but what about, like, how good are you in your 50s, 60s, 70s? How good's your eyesight? How good's your brain? Is there other things that we can do? And the answer is absolutely yes. Okay, so this is the next level beyond vitamins and minerals and protein. So building on the minimum to enhance performance each decade of life. So we'll start with the antioxidant. And by the way, as I get here right now, all of you that are on this webcast, I want to remind you, invite your parents, invite your relatives, invite your customers. If they want, listen, there's nothing I'm going to be saying to you that I can't say to them. And they can be right on there and ask the same question. So never, ever worry about that. Because I will say this, and I want to make sure that the reason I did that minimum first, because people can afford what I just showed you, but not everybody can afford the specialty items that we're going to be talking about over the next, because these are things you take daily. So over the next few months, as I talk about joint support, if I talk about, I'm not even talking about brain health for some of you, people can't afford those things in their regular budget. And I get that. Trust me, no one knows that better than I do. You guys know where I came from. So I work with them. So that's the minimum that we just showed you. And that's easy to fit in anybody's budget. These things here are, if you can afford it, and I know all you can because you get your 40% off for life, but your family, so you can take care of them too. But knowing what these things do, it is definitely worth the next level if it can get into your budget. So that's why I started with the superior antioxidants. We use this for almost all our athletes as well. And it'd be a lot of your customers that would be able to be. This would be the next thing that they would do beyond that when it comes to health, obviously. Obviously, when you're working on performance, you have other things you can use. We'll get to that. That's going to be later in the year when we get to that. So beyond health, this would be the first next thing based on budget. Okay, so let's take you through it. And again, this first slide is nothing more than a summary of the whole thing here. All right, so goal and usage. Let's do that first. So this is something that you would start taking around page 22 to 25. I get the question often, should we take, what about my kids? Well, I don't have an answer because I can't support that. Once you get past puberty, that's when the first stages of old age set in. But 22, 25, things are still working well. Your body's able to kind of make the things that it needs. But past that, then it becomes a little bit different. So right between 22, 25, other than baseball players, we put baseball players on it right away just because it does help eye and in connection to the brain as well. So one is to supply structural components limited by diet and age. That's one. That's one of the goals of the product. Two, contain the excess free radicals. And the key here is excess, real excess free radicals. Too much. Free radicals are good when you damage certain cells during training, right? We want that in the body's natural defenses to work. But when they get excess, which happens from a lot of training, or it happens from too much air pollution or things like this, then this is it's important to be able to stem some of that off. And then third, help regulate inflammation related to disease. And then finally, supply compounds that are involved in energy production that are compromised by the aging process. Those are the four basic goals, okay, all the way. And well, you take it simply, you just take one, and that's to raise the dietary content to the protective levels to support eye, brain, and cardiovascular health, and then energy needs as those compounds decrease as we age. So basically, it's a 6-in-1, all with recovery and NSF certified for sport formulation with correct dosages. Don't forget that word, correct dosages. So write it down, highlight it, because I'm going to put a little example in this thing for you about how, products with window dressing that make the claims, they can't support the claims with the dosage. We do, as you know. Okay, so let's look at the ingredients. The first ingredient, of course, is the group of carotenoids in it. And what we're trying to do is we're mimicking people with the highest blood levels. They have about 38% reduced risk of dying from all causes, people with the higher levels of carotenoids. By the amount we put in here allows that to happen. And alpha carotene is really the big player here. 10 times better than beta carotene for the inhibition of harmful tumors. Okay, so that's that. The other carotenoids in here, lutein and zeaxanthin. Now, these two things, if you take a look, these are important to visual and cognitive functions. So even brain connection to the eyes, throughout a lifespan. So these are important structurally and functionally to those particular functions. They are, first of all, they're the only carotenoids in the eye. And as we get older, as the eyes, begin to weaken and weaken and weaken, those things need to be there to rebuild the cells that are dying off continually. And we of course, we don't get them from diet. Diet levels are inversely related. It's not just a fancy way of saying high levels of carotenoids or lutein, zeaxanthin in the body, low risk of eye disease and problems with eyes. All right, and vice versa, of course. But they also have protection and they have structural actions in the brain. Higher levels, people with higher levels have enhanced visual processing, which is huge all the way around, and cognitive performance and function. And all we're trying to do with these is match those. When we look at people with higher doses, higher levels in their body, we're trying to match it. So we know this. The effective dose of these, based on a typical diet of 2 milligrams a day, which is pathetic, of zeaxanthin and lutein, because they're found in fruits and vegetables, and obviously we know we can't get that many, would be about, lutein would be about greater than 4 milligrams, and zeaxanthin greater than 3, and we have 6 and 5 respectively. So and again, these are matched to clinical trials, and that's what this all is. This is right from your PDSRG, so you see all the studies there that show you that. And that's important for you to remember, because we don't put something in unless we can actually document it was in at those levels in the positive trials. And that's what no one else does, nobody. That's what makes you bulletproof in everything you recommend. That's what I'm saying. Bring your clients on, bring whoever else you want to come on with these things. And lycopene, which is really kind of like champion these days, the big sort of, antioxidant these days that everybody's kind of looking at for lots of reasons. High intake is associated with cardiovascular health. So, the higher, the better the health. And it's also a high intake. We see a reduction in certain cancers and a 55% reduction in stroke risk. All right, and that dosage now needs to be greater than 7 mg. That's why these things are sold in separate supplements. We've got them all into one, because these things can be expensive when you're buying them on your own. In fact, I priced this out when I took all of them individually, and it's going to cost you over $55 at the most discounted vitamin and mineral shops or online. $55 to even come close to matching these amounts ingredients. And you're getting it here for what, 24 bucks? I forget what ours is, somewhere around there. Okay, so there's your carotenoids. All right. Then we also have the berry anthocyanins. And okay, so it's got it's a blend. It's got the blueberry, strawberry, cranberry, wild bilberry, elderberry, all the berries. Okay, and again, they're all known for their individual health promoting properties. Each one of them have something there. So we just have that to sort of complement the other ingredients that are in there. Help maintain DNA integrity, serves as an anti-inflammatory, anti-immunogenic, and provides cardioprotection by maintaining vascular permeability. And that's really one of the things about aging, is the hardening of the arteries. These things can make a difference with that. And so we included 30 milligrams in the antioxidant to boost the carotenoid content and just play with it. It's really synergistic to it. That brings us to the energy producing ingredients. So that takes care of sort of the things we were talking about, of structural components and functional components, antioxidant components. And even though these are, both of these are also antioxidants, they're also vital to energy producing substances. In other words, they also have protection for membranes, which is the antioxidant part, but just as importantly, these things are part of the energy transport chain. And they begin to come down. CoQ10 is a very common supplement that doctors are prescribing to their older patients now, or certainly aging patients, and younger patients just have low levels in order to be able to get their energy levels up. It's just part of, again, as part of the chain. So as most energy producing substances, CoQ10 has significantly decreases with age. Everything decreases with age, folks. And I hate to be repeating myself, but everything begins to decrease with age. Our body becomes resistant to it because we're not supposed to be here. That's just a natural evolution of the human body. As you get older, again, if your body just doesn't know how to use things very well anymore. So sometimes we have to bombard them, or because we can't break them down from foods like we used to, we have to supply them out of foods, which is what we're doing here. So higher levels are associated with a lower coronary artery disease, and it also supports overall cardiovascular health. So that's why you're seeing it so much. And supplements of these are anywhere from between 100 and 200 mgs a day is where we're seeing all the positive stuff in studies. And alpha lipoic acid is kind of it does pretty much the same thing. They significantly decreases with age. But what's unique about alpha lipoic acid, that's why you're seeing it showing up in so many health products today, is that it's a universal antioxidant. In other words, it helps regenerate other antioxidants, such as vitamin E and vitamin C, glutathione, all of these other ones that are very important, and especially in inflammation. All right, and it rapidly declines with age. It just very quickly goes down. So the goal is to bring it back up to those same levels. And this number that we put in here is about the right number. It's about 200 mg a day of subs. And the diet actually supplies a significant amount, but we don't extract it very well. So the 200 mg a day actually complements it very nicely. Okay, now here's what I was talking about, the window dressing. So we went online to try to find a matching product, which you can't. There's no one product that has what we have. There's no way. But if you bought 5 or 6 different ones, which is about what it would take, we found them at discounted prices online, because everything's 10 times cheaper online. And to get these numbers that you're seeing at the bottom, let me put my glasses on. Actually, I can see it over here. Hang on. Okay. To get these numbers, 200 milligrams of alpha lipoic acid, and then you've got 100 milligrams of CoQ10, you got 10 milligrams of lycopene, then you have lutein at 6 milligrams. Look at the dosages that are in the other products. So look at the arrows. Look at alpha lipoic acid, 25 milligrams. So that's 1/10 of an effective dose. Look at the lycopene at 500 micrograms, right? And it's supposed to be what? What is it? 10 milligrams, right? So 10 milligrams, 500 micrograms. What's that? That's 20 times lower. That's 20 times, because don't forget, a microgram is, obviously 500 micrograms is half of a milligram. Just keep that in mind. You can do the math in yourself. But look at all of these lutein. And so these formulas that you're looking at that are under-formulated, that obviously Mr. and Mrs. Jones don't know anything about those proper dosages, but they do know about lycopene. They do know about CoQ10. They do know about the carotenoids, and they do know, because that's what I'd only be buying in the first place. But they don't know the right dosage. They're just feeling they're getting a great product with everything in it, and it's not going to work. So here you are trying to support your health as you age, and it's not going to work. And if it's going to work, you match clinical trials, and that's what it shows you down there. And that's what's called, again, a practitioner product. And that's what the difference is. You have to have two things: the documents that support the dosages, and two third-party tests to make sure that the dosages were actually correct or actually in the bottle. Because I don't even trust my manufacturers, as you know. I have to third-party test them. Even though I give them the formula, they can make a mistake. We got to fix it if they do. So again, this is just a classic example of multivitamin problems, of all the stuff that you're selling out there. Kat and I just looked at a branch chain that's a big branch chain seller up in Canada. Most useless product I've ever seen in my life. But it had all isoleucine, leucine, and valine. It wouldn't help anybody. It wouldn't help a newborn, using a little rattle to recover. I mean, it was just useless. But again, those are the things that people do because they take advantage of the fact that people don't know the proper dosages. Okay, so there's just a classic example of what goes on and what makes you all different. All right, so what are the unique features? I think we've talked about them all, but the most unique is what I said: correct dosages, effective dosage of ingredients with strong support. And no one product has it all, and it's NSF certified for sport. So, and again, here it is. It costs you at least $50 to duplicate this separately in the right dose, and that would still be without the NSF and still be without the berry mix. All right, so any competitor is grossly underformulated, as we just showed. And of course, it complements all other .fit formulas. One of the problems with, like the ones we just saw, when they add vitamins and minerals to that type of an antioxidant, what if you're taking something else that's got vitamins and minerals in it? You've now gone over. And of course, ours are all synergistic. Everything is totally synergistic. So we have to assume that you're taking a multivitamin and build everything else around that. Okay, so let's summarize some typical use, and then we'll get to you guys. All right, number one, right, is to supply important natural compounds, so things that are just either in diet or something your body already makes, are already found in the body, but often limited in human diets, and of course, compromised by aging. They are not only constituents of vital tissues, in other words, they're also things that help us continue to build, so we supply building materials, but they're also shown to have health protection activities incremental to vitamins and minerals that may help reduce the risk of chronic or age-related disease. So that's basically the purpose. Desired outcomes: improve energy levels, exercise and/or stress recovery, maintenance of eye and brain health, help slow aspects of aging. That's what we're trying to do here, and of course, maybe stave off chronic disease. Proper supplementation is designed to achieve blood levels associated with the stated goals and outcomes. In other words, we're not making this stuff up. We're measuring people that have all of this great stuff happening to them, measuring their blood levels, and by taking this, we can match their blood levels of these particular things. And typical use is after age 25. And again, unless the diet is severely limited in fruits and vegetables, then I suppose you could start earlier. I just don't have any support on that. We don't test children when it comes to things like that. And then safety, certainly, obviously, everything is completely safe for the general population. I just put a little chart in here. It kind of shows you where carotenoids work in the system. Some of the where they actually inhibit bad situations and they promote good situations. I just put this at the back at the very end of it for you. Nothing else. I always like to have some kind of diagram that kind of accompanies everything, so you have something to go for. I think that's it. We get to go right to you now. So then our main product of the month will be Joint Flex, so don't miss it. And that is just, we're killing it with that, because as you guys all know, that's amazing. Not just for your joints, but as soon as we got that health study done a couple years ago, skin study done with it a couple years ago, it flies off the shelf. My wife takes a bottle a day. Okay. Even though she doesn't need it that much. She's just hedging her bets. Okay. And plus I get it pretty cheap. All right. Yeah, when we open up
if you guys have questions, we are happy to answer them. You just go ahead and open up the the questions little tab in the GoToWebinar window, and you can just type in the question there, and then we can field them.
I'm going to let you read because I can't get them off.
Cool. So the first question is coming from Bernice. Hey, Bernice. And Hawaii? Bernice in Hawaii. Oh. And she's wanting to know if you're able to mention the brand shown that is underformulated.
No, I just don't do it. So you know what? It's a big brand. It's a big brand. It's a very big brand. And then guess what? Pick a brand. pick a brand, and I guarantee it's the same.
So
It really is. I just don't do that. I don't knock that. I knock the industry and the mass market. And I'm not blaming the mass market. Their job is just to sell stuff. So I don't pick on an individual brand in any way, shape, or form. But I will tell you that they're all the same. You're not going to find one that's going to have all that there, the right dosage. You got to buy it separately.
yeah, so Bernice, I can tell you one-on-one.
I know, yeah, in a private conversation, yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, it is a big one, and it's not uncommon to see major brands.
You guys all know One A Day and Centrum. You don't get any bigger than them. They've all been sued. They've all had class actions many years ago now for underformulation. Because it's one thing to underformulate. That's one thing. Anybody can do that, and you're just not against the law, for sure. But what is against the FTC or Federal Trade Commission is making a claim on that lutein protects eye health. Well, it doesn't protect eye health at 0.100th the proper dose, but it has the potential to support eye health at a dose shown in clinical studies where it actually supported eye health. And so that's what the difference is. These companies, and it takes the FTC 10 years to catch up with these companies when they make those claims. So they're making a false claim because it's not tied to that dosage or form. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, we talk about underformulation and how common it is, and your members don't know any different. They think that if they buy something off the shelf, right, it's supposed to have the right amount of ingredients to give them a benefit that they're looking for. And in the supplement industry, the majority underformulate.
Like I said, it's completely legal to underformulate. That's why if you don't tie it to a document like the one that we spend years and years and years building and updating every day, then it's just another pill.
Yeah. So Denise Ruth, hi Denise. She's asking, can you explain inflammation in the body to us?
Well, inflammation is something that takes place all the time, of course. Inflammation is a normal process of the body. And of course, when we work out and we tear down muscle tissue, there's inflammation at that particular point. So that's how it is just from an activity standpoint. From an aging standpoint, what happens is blood vessels begin to constrict, cholesterol gets up, and then you get all types of things happen when cholesterol begins to interact with other parts of the body. And then inflammation sets in. In the brain, when we get older, inflammation starts to set in as it replaces its tissues when it doesn't have things to fight normal inflammation. But inflammation is something normal that happens. And by the way, on that note, Denise, every good doctor now is giving a C-reactive protein test. And a C-reactive protein test tells you what your inflammation is. And it gives you an inflammation score. I just had mine done, so I'm kind of brag about it. I'm at the very lowest risk of, it's on the scale. In fact, my doctor said you must be like 18 because the only way not to have any inflammation in your body would have to be like a 16-year-old, the exercises and everything else. So for some reason, mine's extreme. Well, a lot of reasons mine's extremely low. So inflammation is part of the aging process, and it's only because, again, things don't replace themselves very well. They become short on materials, and they almost actually kind of harm. That harms the structure. When the structure's harmed, inflammation sets in.
Okay. Feel free to ask a follow-up question if you'd like, Denise. Eugene Kim from UFC Gym in Rosemead, right? He would like to know, does a dosage matter from person to person, Neil?
Not really, because we're actually, that's why we're a little above what you need. It covers pretty much everything. When you look at it's not like creatine. When you get into the skeletal muscle of a 110-pound female athlete versus a super strong man that's over 400 pounds, it makes a difference, which is why we put those dosages by the pound. Okay, we do the same thing. I actually do the same thing with many things. Even the active multi, we will go if we go 2 for almost anybody over 110 pounds. But the most part you don't. I mean, that's because blood levels, blood volume doesn't change as much as you think. And don't forget, when we talk about lean body mass includes organs, includes bones, it includes everything, including water compartments. So you probably don't need any more. We've never measured any more. That's why we kind of bump it a little bit. It kind of covers everybody, and there's no downside to having a little bit more than you normally do. So no, the answer to this question, you wouldn't need
Okay, cool. I see Casey Mitchell's on with us at the Pacific Desert. Hey, Casey. Rod Stewart out of Florida, Club with Max. So nice to see you guys. We got a bunch of people from the Edge as well. So nice you guys joining us. Once again, if you didn't hear me in the beginning, we have a handout. It's a PDF of the slides if you'd like to download them, share them with your members, with your family, your friends, etc. And then Neil also mentioned our product of the month. The next educational webinars that we'll be holding will be on Joint Flex, right? Yeah. So Joint Flex is next.
Don't forget to invite anybody you want, and like your parents. I know it's like that. As long, again, I want to just reiterate what I said in the beginning. I get budget, right? So, I mean, we make something basically. I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford to buy them for myself. And even if I didn't get them pretty cheap, high cost, even then, I would, my time of life, it's important that I do all these things. So as long as it depends on how important your long-term health is, number one, and number two, what is your budget? What's realistic? Obviously, you can't cut out your groceries to take supplements. So there's a place where you've got to fit it in. And the fact that you guys all get the big discount, you can help your folks out, your parents out, or any of the aging that way. Obviously, you've got plenty of clients. Like, trust me, plenty of clients that buy personal training can afford, some of these health things that would help extend their play span significantly.
Okay, great. So we want to thank everybody for showing up to today's webinar.
Is Mark Ruma on?
I didn't see Mark.
You're not on again? Okay.
Yep. But we do have a lot of people that we've seen in the past. Neil, you're going on your road show, so you're probably going to see a lot more.
Yes.
Yep.
Sure.
So look out for the invitation to attend the webinar for next month. And then if you're wanting to see a video, Neil recorded a short what we call bonus round to the new certification that we just launched. That's on the website under the Superior Antioxidant Products. You can watch the video there as well. And then, of course, you always have the Practitioner Dietary Supplement Reference Guide, which is under the Learn section on the website if you want to get all the studies and all the research related to any of these things. So, Neil, do you have any parting words?
I don't, except it's just another day of saving the world through fitness. It's just another tool in your toolbox. That's what this is. This is just another tool that can have a very positive health supporting outcome that can work for anybody.
Okay. Well said. Thanks, everyone. See you next month.
See you in the field.
Bye.